even when it's being hammered that there's nothing to get. What is usually suggested, although it's not suggested, the suggestion of the listener is, well, I will try to get that there's nothing to get. Well, although when it's being suggested, it's unknowable, it tries to know the unknowable. Or when it's expressed that it's just a mystery, it tries to solve the mystery. Or when it's just point blank, it's just what is. And becomes what is what is. And even in the simplest way of communicating what cannot be spoken or talked about, there's always a grasping, an understanding of trying to get, and there's nothing wrong with that. So it's futile, but somehow there's an attraction to the futility of seeking. There is a magnetism in what cannot be known. Yet somehow, even with the emptiest of words, there is a filling up of emptiness as it's interpreted by the apparent listener. Because there's always going to be a comparison, because there's always going to be an interpretation. It's almost this automatic figuring out of something that cannot be figured out. And sometimes the attraction is that when what's being spoken is as meaningless, and it rides in that meaninglessness to find meaninglessness. How can I find meaning in meaninglessness? And there's also this secret agenda of looking for its own absence in talks like this. It's longing for the disappearance of something that never was. It's longing for the pointing, or that finality. When am I going to lose what is seeking? But the very questions that arises seemingly maintains the seeking. The seeking cannot survive without words. So the seeking in words is a maintenance. It's a trap. It's not being suggested to stop seeking, because that's another form of seeking. I tried that. I was like, I'm going to stop seeking, right? It's just going to be seeking. And it was just this painful cauldron of futility that boils up. And then it doesn't have a choice but to seek again. It's like it's an addiction of words. It's an addiction of what makes it real. Even when the words are trying to point out that nothing is real, it somehow goes underground and creates a persona that it's not real. Usually a seeker, when they encounter, when they stumble upon or they trip on radical non-duality, although there's no radical non-duality, they trip upon it. Usually it's the seeking for the self, and then it thinks it upgraded into like, well, there's no self. It creates this other juxtaposition, another opposite of what it thinks, by creating something that it can't think about, but still thinks about it. And there's nothing wrong or right about that. So it's like swimming in words, hoping to drown, but using words as lifesavers. What's the word of the day? According to the speaker, there's a new word. It's free falling this week. And next week, it's going to be whatever word will come up. There's a brand new speaker in town, and the speaker is saying, insert word here. And it's like, oh wow, this new speaker is mind-blowing because it's talking about, according to the speaker, it's insert word here. So what's being exposed is the fatal words that it's longed for maintains the word, the circuit word, or the word that's hidden, the word that is the silent word, which is belief. The belief. The belief in its reality by creating another reality where there's no reality. So let's go back, to what was being said. And it's just going to repeat over and over that words are just words. Any word that will come up will just lead to more words. A speaker can only speak in words. And the speaker can only maintain words. There's nothing wrong or right about speaker. There's nothing fresh and new about speaker. It's just speaking about the simplicity, the obviousness, but it plays in words. How about if we flip those words and I'll just say it? There is no mystery. There is no paradox. There's no secret. There's no truth. There's not even a this. There's no witness to this. There's no realizing this. There's no emptiness. There's nothing that can be done. There's nothing that can be figured out. There's not even nothing. There's no transcendence in this. There's no maintenance. I can also flip it and say that there's just mystery. There is just paradox. There's just this. There's just emptiness. There's just transcendence. They're all the same. They're all the same words that leads to more words. Everything that's ever been said, that everything that has been heard is in the level of thoughts. And in the level of thoughts, they are just made up by words. And the words, of course, are just all made up. There's no root word to word. Well, there will be, if you look up in the dictionary, but it'll just be made up of more words. So when there is a grasping or a comparison of words of what's being said, when there's a weight of the word, when there's an important word that comes up, or when even, let's just say it, even when they're saying that I'm resonating with this word, but who's resonating? Who's resonating? Isn't it just another word that's resonating with another word? So the importance of word, the hierarchy of words, the level of words, this is a top shelf word here. It's the hidden agenda of words to maintain the word that it's real. So pain becomes so real when it's mixed up with other words. The pain that I'm feeling is because of this, and that. So we'll have a series of words that, that chains all of these words, and it creates this train of words that will just keep on flowing back and forth. Or in the seeking, I will never get this because, and it's just a whole bunch of words. Or There could be a comparison of words. I don't get what the speaker is saying or what Emerson is saying, but all that is being said here is just words. And the words that are being uttered are all made up. There's not a single word that is real. There's not a single word that that will get you out of the world of words that is created by words. Woo! It's just it's a word, a universe made up of words, but there's not even a universe because it's just a word. And there are sacred words that are so, it just changes. So the self that creates all of these words morphs into other words like awareness, absolute consciousness, or in the radical community, words like free falling, words like fresh and new, words like nothing happening. There's nothing wrong with words. And the speaker is very clear when it's saying that there is nothing needed, but somehow it has to be communicated in words. And especially, you know what, when there's a newness, you know what I'm saying? When someone is gushing about in words about what is, and it just becomes this explosion of words. And the seeker that's looking for that longs for those words. I want to say those words. I want to be able to say those words. But by saying those words, it's just another belief system. There is another belief that what the other speaker, or, when there's this new flavor, including this speaker, when it becomes this kind of like this object of effect, becomes a want. So it just longs for words to appear as words because it cannot see that words like it's not happened to me yet. It's the same as it happened. Words like the me dropped away and words like the me hasn't dropped away are the same. There's just the belief that there was a me in the first place, or just a belief in words. Or someone will tell me, but Emerson, it doesn't feel fresh and new. Is it always fresh and new? Or the words that is uttered here, it's just in the simplicity and in the directness, in the obviousness of this. And then someone say, well, it's not simple here. It's not obvious here. But obvious and not obvious are the same. They're just made up words. So in this made up reality, there is a comparison. There is it's like that Sally, when Harry met Sally, I want what she's having. But if you watch that movie, what Sally was doing was making up something. It's a fake orgasm that you want. I can't believe I said orgasm in a non-duality meeting. But hey, it's just a word. And that's what's being pointed. So the word creates more words like longing, wanting, desiring, missing, lacking, suffering, needing, wanting, not seeing that the words that are just basically this, it's just this cyclical, cyclonic words, tornado of words. And then all these words doesn't really matter when there's deep sleep, when there's absence. And the words come up again, come flooding again, when something is like, oh, you know what? It's really rainy today. It's miserable out. I wish there was no me. And it becomes there's this words that were kind of like, oh, I wish there was no me. And I wish, Yeah, and all the thing that comes up, comes up, comes up, comes up. It hasn't happened here yet. What hasn't happened here? The word? The word could have like even the word that's kind of like, that's kind of like a bit taboo in radical non-duality, like enlightenment or an awakening. It's not uttered, but it's wished for. It will be expressed over and over again that there's no such thing as enlightenment because that's duality. So what is being expressed is that there's simply not two. Simply not two means the moment that a word is uttered, that's already two. The moment that there is a thinking or a thought, that is dualistic already. The moment that there's a moment, it's two. But there's nothing wrong with moments, but the moments become stamped and labeled with words like this moment is horrible. This moment is miserable. This moment is blissful. I wish I can maintain this bliss. So even the apparent blissful moment, because it's been captured by words that this is, or even when it becomes, oh, this is it. How do I maintain this? Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Everything is, wow. This is, I can't speak about this. And then it wants to recreate the words that was uttered in an apparent moment that it can't be expressed in words. It repeats that, oh, wow. So it's like sometimes, when I'm just going to be so cheeky here. Sometimes when there's a character that repeats over and over about their orgasm, they're faking it. That's all they can talk about. Oh, I had an orgasm. And this orgasm is like, oh, wow, there are no words for this orgasm. Oh, and then, of course, what is watching that is going to like, I want that orgasm. They're talking about words. And there's nothing wrong or right about that. There's just this directness. And this directness doesn't have to be orgasmic. It could be catastrophic. It could be like, oh, wow, I feel horrible today, right? But no one talks about that. No one goes into YouTube and says that, oh, this is the most horrible day. Because there is this, there's this word called enlightenment that is maintained, that is desirable. But desire is just another word. So when all the words fall apart, we're just really speaking in tongues. Whoa, wow, it's just, it's just tongues. It's just so much fun though talking about this. Although there's nothing being talked about. There's just an easiness here because the moment that I talk in front of this to my brothers and my father and my mom, or my, for example, like, oh, what's wrong? I'm like, oh, really nothing. It's just, there's just this word, that it's sad, but it's just a word. People are like, what are you talking about? I'm like, well, I'm not really talking about anything because everything that I talk about is just an expression of something that cannot be expressed. People are like, well, do you need to check into a hospital, Emerson? Because it can't be talked about. But somehow there's this easiness in expressing what cannot be expressed through words. So don't be jealous of these words, because jealous is just another word. There's really nothing. And that's saying so much. If you want to jump in and talk, please go ahead. I'm just having so much fun with these talks. Thank you so much.